Good morning. It's October the 22nd. It's -1 degree, just below freezing. And it's Friday, which means I'm heading around Wascana Lake. Dum, dum, dum. With the sun in my eyes, because although I'm a little later than some mornings, the sun is getting lower and lower. You can see they cleaned our street yesterday, swept up all the leaves. There's more now because the trees keep dropping them, but it's a lot better than it was. We had our yard done too, so far fewer leaves than there were in my neck of the woods, the urban forest as they call it. So yes, it's Friday. I spent yesterday doing publishing stuff, sending emails to authors who I've interviewed with, telling about the new book and sending some copies. And also emailed my third-year guests to start determining which ones would like to be part of Shapers of Worlds Volume 3, which I would hope to kickstart in the spring, having kickstarted 2 anthologies now featuring science fiction and fantasy by authors who are guests on my podcast. www.theworldshapers.com if you want to check it out. We're now 10 days away, or to put it another way, a week from Tuesday is when Shapers of Worlds Volume 2 officially releases. The Kickstarter version goes out next week, a little bit ahead of that. It was supposed to go out this week, but it was slightly delayed. And I've got more publishing related stuff to do. One of the things I want to do is to continue to leverage, as they say, the podcast, is to create a series of books with quotes from the authors about the various writing processes of writing. And since every interview is structured the same way, I think I can do that as a series of books with, quotes from writers on idea generation, quotes from writers on planning and outlining, quotes on the writing process, quotes on revising, and quotes on the philosophy of writing. I think I could easily do like a 6-book series. Well, not easily, it would take a lot of work, but I'm leaning that way. I'm sure it would sell some. Hello, Miriam. I think we'll walk clockwise around the lake today. I've gone counterclockwise the last few times. And there's dogs. There's always dogs. See if I keep my hat on or not as I keep walking. Might or might not. It's frosting. It's now frosted multiple nights. Frosted last night, was frosting again tonight. So we're certainly slipping towards winter. And we have had our first snow. It didn't stick, but we had it. There's some rain and possible wet snow in the forecast this coming week, I think, so we'll see how that goes. On a rainy day, I won't come out. Try to pick a time when it's not raining, just because I don't think the gimbal is waterproof. And the phone is somewhat waterproof, but I don't know about the microphone. It probably isn't, so Morning, Charles. Yep, it's -1 right now. So it was -3 or something last night. So that's Celsius, of course. So yes, it frosted. I don't know if it'll be visible or not. Like if it left anything on the roads, but on the grass, I meant to say. I don't know why those people are sitting there. It must be the old guys. They usually walk around the lake at the same time I do. I call them the old guys. They're probably my age. The breeze is brisk. I think the wind chill was -6 or something like that. There's the legislative building over there. Well, that's bright. Hopefully my mic doesn't die today. I made sure it's fully charged. I thought I could get 3 walks out of it. Apparently 2 is the limit. And I should probably charge it up every time. Yes, the grass is starting to yellow. It's still pretty green over here. It's funny you should say yellow grass, though. That's the name of a town. 16 miles northwest of Weyburn, where I grew up. I know it's 16 miles because there's a town every 8 miles. Because that was how far farmers could drive their wagons in back in a day. So it's pretty much like clockwork, at least along that road, every 8 miles. Yellowgrass is the gazebo, which I've performed in, actually, and been to a wedding in. Yellowgrass is a few hundred people. Don't know it well. I used to go there when I was working at the Weyburn Review sometimes to cover things. Ooh, nice to find some shade there for a minute. They're working on the new swimming pool up there. You can hear the beeping of a reversing vehicle. There's gulls on the water. Lots of them. Little white dots over that whole part of the water. A couple of ducks there too. Oh, back into the sun. Can't see a thing. Guess I should wear my sunglasses. Yeah, that's the official name of it. People I know tend to call it the gazebo, but it is called the Wascana Bandstand, to be perfectly correct. And they do have people doing concerts there. That's why I sang there. With my a cappella group many years ago, we sang there. That's Willow Island there. I'm already going to take off my hat. I'm already getting warm. I might regret it as the wind keeps blowing, but for the moment it feels good. Should be dry enough now. I'll take the shortcut here through the trees. I'm not sure why this exists. I guess it's to make things easier on vehicles, parked vehicles. It's always like when they shred dead trees and things, branches, they tend to put the mulch, I guess you'd call it, here. The chips on this piece of road, at least at one end. Keeping it open this way. Of course, the lake is always just the other side of the caragana bushes there. At least I think those are caraganas. Most bushes around here seem to be. Well, clearly there are other kinds of bushes. Willow Island again. Get some more shade. So maybe I can see the screen. Yeah, Willow Island is, you can rent it for picnics and things like that. It has some shelters on it and picnic tables and stuff. It's also where they set off fireworks. At Canada Day fireworks, they set off from Willow Island, and then people will be all around the lake watching them. We always watch them from the bridge, which is pretty much ideal. In fact, when we get up here a little further, there's a sign telling you how you can rent Willow Island. I've never been on it. Never had any reason to go. But of course, it does figure in my Shards of Excalibur series. As I always say, as I come up to this parking lot, because the main action of the book begins here, right on this spot. Oh look, unstable internet connection. It didn't last long. They recently improved this a little bit here. But over here, this is where my Shards of Excalibur series begins. When the Lady of the Lake from King Arthur shows up in this patch of water, down at the bottom of a watery staircase, an avatar of her really, a lady made out of water, and my main character, and you can see the landing over there on Willow Island, you can get onto it, and some of the shelters through the trees. My main character finds out she's the heir to the power of the Lady of the Lake, and is given this quest of finding the Shards of Excalibur from wherever they may be around the world before Merlin can, in his modern day guise as Rex Major, computer magnate. That's M-A-G-N-A-T, not M-A-G-N-E-T, magnate. Wally Knight is this boy who just happens to be there, it seems like, and he's the other main character. There she, Willow Island. Advance notice required. And you can go down there, there's a boat landing, and then you take a boat over, and you can see the, oh, I can go up here. Get a bit of a view that I do sometimes. Last time I was in here there was water and I got my feet wet, but not today. So, right there's where the Lady of the Lake shows up. There's Willow Island. You can see some shelters and stuff through the trees. And there's the landing you go to if you're going over there. All right. Carry on my wayward son. So getting my flu shot today, so that's exciting. Yay. picking up that kitty litter I was going to pick up yesterday. It had just been delivered, so I'll get that today too. So, you know, what an exciting Friday I have planned. Vaccination and kitty litter. And I'll do some writing stuff too. Willow Island again. Well, now I'm wishing I had my hat on now that I'm out of the sun again and the wind blowing. So maybe I'll just take a second to put that back on. If the image does anything weird, that's why. There you go. South end of Willow Island. There are fewer people on the path as it starts to get colder than I was finding in the summer on Fridays. Of course, the legislative building is always over there. Oh, long text. There you go. You know more than I do, so I've never bothered to look it up. Yes, all the islands in the lake are man-made because the whole lake is man-made. There's 3 islands. We'll go by them all. I mean, the lake is created by a dam under the bridge over there. And every tree was planted by somebody. But it's been here a long time. It was created very early on, like early 20th century. And it's been deepened twice. Once about the time of the Depression. It's a make-work project, actually, and I think some of the islands may have been built then as well. And then again in 2004, I think, 2003, 2004, somewhere in there, when they drained the whole thing and deepened it so that it's good for another 100 years without silting up. It's now 9 meters deep at its deepest point, so it doesn't freeze to the bottom, which means fish can overwinter in it, which they weren't able to do before it was deepened, because it would freeze solid. People used to swim in it. Nobody swims in it anymore. The water quality is not that great, surrounded by streets and people spraying their yards and all that kind of thing. So you wouldn't want to swim in it. All right, we'll go down here to the right. There's a scenic lookout here to the left that people go out along to get a view of the ledge, the eastern end of the ledge, legislative building. Up there. And then this pool here during the summer has a fountain in it, an aeration fountain to put oxygen into the water. And there's somebody up there. Jumping up and down for some reason. So the lookout lines up with the eastern end of the legislative building. The fountain is in there when it's running. The other one would have been over sort of when we first started the walk. And then there's the waterfall on Pine Island, which won't be running now either. South Footbridge gives you another nice view. So downtown is right over there. Our house is directly ahead. There's the ledge. That's Spruce Island over there. It's the one that's totally undeveloped. I think there's a landing stage there, but it's not someplace that you can rent or anything like that. And it's overgrown, not cleared in any way. For birdies and such like. That's in the deepest part of the lake. It's right over around Spruce Island, and all this area over here is what they deepened the most. Now my head's warm again, so I'll take the hat off again. Probably leave it off now. So we're coming up to the marina. That tall building over there is an apartment building. Over here's the marina. This is where the Wascana Rowing Club hangs out. And things like that. Hi. Up there is the Bar Willow, which is the nicest deck in town. Yes, that's right, it is a bird sanctuary, Spruce Island. That's where the rowing club hangs out, and this is the this structure was built for the Canada Summer Games, parts of it, which were held here after the lake was deepened. So we got a few new, and there's rentals and various things here. As you can see, the Canada Games Wascana Lake Center. Regina Rowing Club. reginarowing.com. Oh, and the Racing Canoe Club. wrccpaddle.com. And the Bathroom Club. More boat launches here. Hey, we've never walked down here. We'll walk down here and around the corner. I think it goes around the corner. Yes, it does. Don't want to get stuck out here. On the pier, this is floating. Splash, splash, splash. Oh. Whew. So there you can see the boat landings. And a couple of geese who still haven't headed south. Ducks. And this is boat ramp. People also launch boats from this little bit of beach here. Occasionally you'll see the firefighters out here practicing rescue from this little bit of beach. That's Pine Island over there. we'll go on to that one because it has a bridge to what I guess you'd call the mainland. But the water falls off and will be now until spring. Another bridge, because this is the other end of the river that was dammed to make the lake. This is the inflow end under Broad Street Bridge there. These were bright red when they were painted. You use a touch of new paint any day now. There's the Broad Street Bridge, and the path does go that way as well, and I've walked out there before. It'll take you to the university and on past it. I've only taken it as far as the university. And these days I'll do a big long lap. Ducks and gulls. Not seeing a lot of geese. I hear some, but they're not on the water. They're flying up behind me somewhere. Hi, Joe. Thank you. Lots of gulls over there. About time I come down and walk in the south part of Wascana Center on the other side of the road there. Haven't been down there for a while. Probably do that next week. I don't know what I'll do this weekend. Probably drive somewhere more interesting. We'll see. Some duck having words with something or somebody, or just talking to himself. So we're just about come full circle. When I started doing these walks in March, I was walking around the lake and it was snowy. It won't be long before I'm walking around the lake and it's snowy again. Can't tell. Could be a month, could be 6 weeks, could be 2 weeks. We usually have a few snows before it sticks. It's like at some point there's usually a sharp break in the weather and all of a sudden you get really cold weather. Doesn't mean you get snow though. A brown Christmas is exceedingly rare, and then usually only, depending on how you define it, there's usually some snow somewhere. But it can be quite late coming. See, the geese seem to have moved on mostly because this is all ducks. And a couple of pigeons, including a white one. And some gulls. Oh, there's a few geese over on this side. Maybe they like this side better for some reason. Interesting. A few geese over here, whole bunch of ducks over here. I guess since I'm walking clockwise, I'll go clockwise around island as well. This island was only created when they, I think, when they did the deepening. I think spruce and willow were there before, but I think this one was built at that time. Could be wrong. It could be it was in here and they just spruced it up, pined it up, I guess. This is also built for the Canada Summer Games, kind of the timing stand for water sports on the lake. Yeah, I went to university in Arkansas, and it was, you know, although Arkansas, kids from Florida thought Arkansas was the Arctic, as of course it's not coastal, it's up another state from the coast. Oh. Couple just landing there. I don't think I quite caught that. There's frost on this wood here. It's slippery. You can see it, how it's melting as the sun finds it, as the shadows move. But the one year I was there at Searcy, Arkansas, Harding University, and this is all frosted. We had a little bit of snow on the ground for like a month. I felt quite at home. Just had my light jacket on because it wasn't that cold. But boy, people there thought it was unusually wintry, and I guess it was, but it certainly didn't seem that way to those of us from Canada. There's some more geese. The thing that most people from down south pick up on when they come up here is they'll see extension, like plug-ins dangling from the front of cars, and that's because every car has a block heater, and you literally plug it in overnight to keep it from, so to start in the morning. Now, modern cars will generally start, but older cars, and the older the car gets, the more likely you need that. We rarely plug our car in. We should more often, probably. But it does have a block heater. Although Volvo, well, of course you'd expect one on Volvos because they're from Sweden, but the Volvo one has a proprietary plug-in cord you have to use. So there's actually a little port in the front bumper with a 3-prong thing that you plug in, and then you plug the other end into your outlet. The new Volvo we have, the older Volvo we have, is just an ordinary block heater. Some cars have interior warmers too, so that usually you put that on a timer, and so an hour or so before you're going to start using the car, it'll blow warm air into the car and get the frost off and get everything ready to go. I have had that in a car, don't have it in the current ones. He seems to have a lot to say. Not anymore. He felt silent. I think he was swearing at the pigeons there. Back when we moved up here, when I was a kid in the 60s, a lot of cars had frost shields on the windows. That was a little kind of oval, rectangular with rounded corners, not really oval, piece of plastic that had adhesive around the edge and a seal. So you would put that on your window on the inside, and when the rest of the window frosted up, because of that little bit of dead airspace in there, it wouldn't frost out, and you could see out through the frost shield. I haven't seen one of those in years and years and years. Probably just a function of cars getting better at clearing their windows. And of course, the other thing lots of people have, and it's actually on our Volvo, because Volvo built it in, is a remote starter. So you can start the car 10 or 15 minutes before you go out to it, give it a chance to warm up. I've also used that in the summertime though, because on a hot day, you can start it and the air conditioning will run, so it's cooler in the car when you go out to it. So it works both ways. Huh. I'd never heard of an electrically heated dipstick, so that's a new one on me. I happen to be rereading portions of my grandfather-in-law's First World War memoirs, One Lucky Devil, that I published in 2018. And he was talking about the trouble with, he was a truck driver in France, and certain cars wouldn't start, but it was, is it the Daimler? That would always start. So they had one vehicle that they could rely on to start, and they'd use it to boost the others and start the others, and eventually they'd have them all running. But a lot of them wouldn't start. I think one of them, he said, had a, I don't remember what brand it was, had a kind of pocket in the radiator that the water would collect in and then freeze. And at the time they didn't have antifreeze. I mean, it existed, but they didn't have it in the front where they were. And of course that would do bad things. So it all got better after they finally got antifreeze delivered to them. A few more people walking around now. And I'm getting quite warm in my coat, but I can't unzip it because the microphone is clipped to the top of the zipper.
I don't change, but like
I haven't taken the unofficial path here, so let's do that today while it's dry and there's no snow. And of course, cold is relative. We'll reach or approach minus 40 at least once during the winter, but it doesn't usually last more than a day or two at that temperature. You can certainly have a week or two where it barely gets above minus 20 Celsius, which is minus 4 Fahrenheit. Or it doesn't get to minus 20. That's fairly common for a couple of weeks. We have a cold snap. With lows then would be in the minus 30 to minus 35 range. There's Spruce Island over there. But, you know, it's not like, say, Antarctica, where they just had their coldest winter on record with temperatures were, you know, minus 70 Fahrenheit, or maybe that was Celsius too. Could very well have been Celsius. Probably was Celsius. Anyway, coldest winter on record, so cold is relative. It was twice as cold there as our coldest days, basically. I don't think any car would start easily under those circumstances if it were left out to freeze. I don't think it would start at all. I remember a really cold day in Weyburn when I was down there. It's minus 47 Fahrenheit. And my editor called, he couldn't get his car started. Mine had started, and I had booster cables, so I went over to boost his car, and it was so cold that the insulation on the booster cables cracked and fell off as I tried to use them. Well, that was a cold day. I'm unlikely. Oh, here we'll go take a look at Spruce Island. So that's the bird sanctuary. You see, there is a landing stage over there, but it's not someplace you're supposed to go. And you certainly can't rent it for picnics or anything. And the undergrowth would be very thick. Anyway, and then there's downtown, the Twin Towers, the two that sort of mirror each other, except now there's a third one. And that's the Conexus Art Center over there, the premier performing arts space in the city. Since I'm coming from this direction, we'll take a pass by the totem pole. So this was donated by the government of British Columbia to mark the centennial of their entry into Confederation, so many years ago now. And I think they donated one to every provincial capital. And then it was, it deteriorated quite a bit, and then it was refurbished recently by the son or grandson of the man who made it, I believe, did the work. Lighting's not ideal from this direction, but there it is. So it was erected here in 1971, carved in Vancouver. And then it was refurbished much more recently than that. There you go. Heading somewhere over there. Looks like they're going just the other side of Spruce Island, actually. These leaves will eventually go as it gets colder and colder. See, some trees give up immediately, some hang on with some color, and some hang on green for quite a long time. Go some more. See if they land. Yeah, they landed right there in that patch of sunlight, I think. It's hard to see, they kind of vanished from my point of view. Over here is the monument to the Holodomor, the communist genocide of Ukrainians, led by Stalin. Nothing to choose between communists and Nazis when it comes to that sort of thing. They're both bad. Bad. I know. Cutting edge political commentary. Communists and Nazis are bad. But there you go. So it's this little girl, starving girl. And there's the description. The millions of victims of the forced starvation by Stalin's communist regime during the Holodomor famine genocide in Ukraine, 1932 to 1933. And Saskatchewan was the first province in Canada to recognize it as genocide. We have a lot of Ukrainians here. Maybe I'll actually follow the path around the lake today. I haven't done that in a long time. I usually cut through over here somewhere and go down in front of the legislative building, but the garden is gone. No flowers. And I haven't done this for a while, so today I'll stick to the lakeside path along the lake. It's lakeside. Although it was tempting to go through. I do like going by the tennis courts though. They're over there. Lakeshore tennis, or yeah, Lakeshore Tennis Club. Not Lakeview, Lakeshore. Over there is the footbridge. We went over on the other side of the lake. Now we're walking towards downtown. There's Willow Island again over there. The Trafalgar Fountain that once stood in Trafalgar Square in London came over here in 1939. And the ledge again. Reason the gimbal decided I wanted to point off in a different direction than I actually wanted to point in. I don't know how it decides that. Willow Island, you can see the structures on it and a whole bunch of gulls sitting on the beach there, it looks like from here. It's interesting. And there's a view downtown. Ducks, gulls, geese, more geese, more gulls, more geese, and some ducks. Here is the United Empire Loyalists Monument, or as we of the American persuasion like to call them, traitors, but it all depends on which side you're looking at them from and who wins. It's been there a long time. So when they have the fireworks, like I was talking about off of Willow Island, you'll have people sitting all along here on the beach and the rocks watching. You can pack a lot of people around the lakeshore for the fireworks. Traffic can be a nightmare after it's over, which is why it's great that it's within walking distance of our house. Because we just walk to the bridge, like 3 blocks, and watch the fireworks. It's great. And the condo we have over there, which I started walking from earlier this week, one day, was not too bad either, but the house is even more convenient for watching the fireworks. gimbal is slightly off kilter. The horizon does not actually slope that way. Good morning from Vancouver, Kirk. Getting close to the end here. Completed most of the walk around the lake. Still have to go under the bridge and home. So here's the ledge coming up on our left. The ornamental gardens are gone now. Empty beds waiting for next year. Walter Scott there on his pedestal looking at it. First Premier of Saskatchewan. Hear the water lapping at the shore there. It's a bit rippled today, so there must be, well, you can see on the flags on the bridge, there's a bit more wind than you'd immediately think. Enough to get some waves going. On a really windy day, you get whitecaps on the Wascana. Not very big whitecaps, but you do get whitecaps. I still remember when I was in university and I was in Arkansas and I was reading in a National Geographic in the library there an article about Saskatchewan, which of course fascinated me because that's where I was from. And they told the joke that in Saskatchewan we don't think it's windy till you get white caps on your bathwater. Ba-dum-bum. What's that? Flat-topped trees. Oh, along the garden back there. Yeah, they're shaped, obviously. Pruned. The waves ever wet the sidewalk? No. I wouldn't think so. On a really good wind, you might get some spray, but no, you don't get those kind of waves. The water is just too small. The body of water is just too small. I suppose you might get a little water splashing up onto maybe some parts of the sidewalk, but I can't say that I remember ever seeing it. Maybe one of these days it'll be really, really windy and I'll walk around the lake and we'll see if it's not in the middle of the winter and the lake's frozen solid. There's the dam that creates the lake. Wascana Center, as a whole, is one of, if not the largest urban park in North America. It's bigger than Central Park, but it's not shaped so tidally rectangular. Much more stretched out along the course of the river. And I really need to do a walk in Saskatoon sometime when I'm up there. Show off the South Saskatchewan River, the bridges, that sort of thing. Just haven't had a reason to go up there recently. Unlike when I was writer in residence and I went up there every week for several months. That was a good time. I missed that. I wish it hadn't been cut short by the pandemic when I ended up doing it all by Zoom and phone call for the last 2.5 months. But On the other hand, I saved money by not driving up there every week and staying in a hotel one night and eating out. All right, back through the muraled underpass. These are all new this summer. And now back to the very familiar final stages of the walk, as I've walked this umpteen times. Not necessarily when I walked around the lake. All the streets were cleared of leaves in the last few days down here and washed. So this is about as clean as they get. I suppose the cleanest they get was immediately after the machines went by, because already leaves are starting to show up again, but won't be as many as there were here. Wouldn't be that bad on this street, but our street with the big trees arching over the top of it. There's the giant spider. This particular one is very effective when the light is on at night. So it's from the top. Like I said, I'll probably go out and do a trick-or-treat night walk on Halloween. Probably wait and do my walk in the evening. Intersections get sanded, not streets as a whole. In really cold weather, salt doesn't do anything. Sand is better. I think it's a salt-sand mixture, though, is what they put at the intersection. But they don't do the entire street. And not every intersection. There's a priority system. And major arteries obviously get stuff first, and then slowly they work their way out. So we might get ours plowed once or twice a winter. Depends on how bad the snow is. What happens is that the snow packs up and you have ruts in the snow, in the ice, which can be annoying until they come along and scrape it away. But it's, you know, it is what it is. We're all used to it. Although you wouldn't know that from the first time it snows, and everybody seems to forget how to drive in snow and ice. And you get a bunch of fender benders. Keep walking with me over the winter. You'll see it all. There's some nice color there. And if you go back on my channel, it was already spring when I started, so the snow was already melting. But there is one day when a snowstorm blew in, a nasty little brief snowstorm, windstorm. And I recorded a short walk in that you can find back in April, I think. It's been a very popular little video. People like weather. I seem to get more views if I walk in the rain, or if it's right after a storm, or during a storm. Which is all well and good for people looking at the video. Not necessarily fun for me. I don't mind walking in a gentle rain with an umbrella, as I did a couple of times now. And I did that nighttime walk a couple of weeks ago with wet streets. That was really cool. I might do that again sometime. Ari, I we'll stop here. So thanks for walking with me. I don't know where I'm walking tomorrow, but I'll be somewhere. Bye for now.